Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode. Triple F Ranch! Today we're going to be reviewing the MOJO VOODOO Dove. So I got the MOJO VOODOO Dove here. Before we get into the box, I want to kind of go over some things. I just got done doing the $90 Rossi 410 review. Just got done with that video, and I was like, you know what, since I got everything set up, got the light set up, got the GoPro set up, let's go ahead and jump into this one too. The biggest question with the MOJO VOODOO Dove, is it worth it? This Dove has the spinning wings on both sides. This isn't the wind-powered one, this is actually battery operated. The wings spin. So we're going to do a review, my thoughts on it, and is it worth it? We'll go ahead and jump into the box here. I've had it for probably a month now. I've been using it, so I'm not doing like an unboxing of it. So you open the box. So let's be professional about this. It's going to come in this box. It's not a huge box. MOJO is taped in the top. So you get it open. On the side of it, you get both wings. And they are magnetic. As you can tell as well, there's two different collars on them. In my opinion, the two different collars is absolutely essential. The reason being, I'll try to do it the best I can. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save that. I'll just turn it on for you guys because I already got set up batteries in it. The next thing, you have the Dove. It's pretty heavy. It probably weighs like 2 pounds. It's pretty stout. It's hard plastic. But, I mean, it's big. It's, you know, my hand's about 8 inches long. I'm kind of, hopefully that gives you guys a pretty decent perspective of it. Beautiful. I mean, it's, the craftsmanship behind this thing is actually very impressive. I'm really impressed, even coming down to the detail. If you guys have ever shot doves or anything, they actually have like a bluish, a really light bluish eyelid around them. Now that, probably a little too blue, but it gives it that more of a, and that gives it that much more of an effect of realism in the gun. Or, oh my gosh, just got done doing a gun review. I don't want to keep saying gun. It gives it a more realistic look on the decoy itself. It's got the black spots on its back. Obviously, you know, doves have black spots. And when doves flare in, if you guys have ever watched them land, you actually see a white trim around their tail feathers. And it's actually wide like that. That's really how it looks. So one thing, I think I read a review on this thing, and they said that the angle, so it's, let's just say that's sitting up like that. That's how doves come in and land. I don't know how true it is, but they say it's pretty essential to get the landing angle right. I'm not going to give doves that much credit. If you had it sitting like this, flat, I don't think it would make an ounce bit of difference. But that just adds to it. I mean, gives you a little bit more confidence, I guess. So one thing that's kind of weird, I didn't really expect on this thing, it's actually just a little Velcro strap, and that's what opens up the hatch. And then you have your battery. You have your battery, and your battery's wire, or your battery wires leading to the switch. The cool thing about this thing too, it's got a switch on it. You guys can hear it turn on. 4 AA batteries. It's in this. They're not included. There's quite a bit of room in there, so you just make sure you get the wires in there. Don't pinch them. I've been dealing with RC stuff ever since I was, 3 years old, 4 years old. The electronics are very important. I don't think I have to really say that, but just don't be heavy-handed getting this thing back in here. I mean, it fits tight. You guys didn't see me struggle to put that in, but put your 4 AA batteries in, close the hatch, I could actually probably loosen that screw and twist it just because I have OCD and it's not lined up. Got a switch on the bottom. That's it for the Dove itself. Like I said, I think it helps with how big this thing is. But before we get into the rest of the box, it's actually channeled so you can see a set screw. You guys can see there's a set screw there, and a set screw on the other side. One thing I wish I could do with this, and it's not really necessary, I guess, it would just to try something different, but these wings are magnetic, and there's a channel in the front of them. And on this one, it's channeled on the brown side on both. So you can only mount them like this. Something I was wanting to try the other day was actually mounting them like that. So as it spins, it looks like it's fluttering more, I guess you could say. So you can actually only mount them one way. They go on super easy. They do not come off. So it's like that. I'll go ahead and turn this thing on just to show you guys. Now, before I turn it on, if this was white on both sides or brown on both sides, you wouldn't get that flashing effect. You wouldn't get that fluttering effect out of it. Hopefully you guys can see it. What was I going to say? Oh, I know what I was going to say now. So this, you guys may have other Mojo decoys. I have a Mojo Coyote decoy, and it's intermittent. So that means it'll spin and stop. Spin and stop. This is continuous. This never stops. As soon as you turn it on, it will continue to spin until you turn it off. There's no pauses in it, breaks in it, or anything like that. Wings come off nice and neat. Pull them off, throw them back in the box. So when I opened this thing, I was like, yeah, this thing's pretty sweet. I got a lot of confidence in this until I was like, so how am I going to get it off the ground? So there's no stakes in here. Pulled the Mojo out, pulled all the paperwork out. I'm like, for this being cardboard and foam, like, it still feels pretty heavy. Mojo actually did something pretty interesting. I'm going to go ahead and pull all this stuff out. It's actually not necessary. I'll go ahead and pull the foam part out. Actually, that fell out. Pretty interesting how they did this. They actually stuck the stakes in the bottom of the foam. Pretty nifty idea. I will admit, and this is going to start the pros or the cons of the Mojo decoy. These stakes, I think putting them together, they're about 2.5 foot long, something like that, from the very pointed one all the way up to the Mojo. I don't think it's necessary getting it that much farther off the ground. People say, well, Doves really like it when you get it off the ground even more. Me and Dustin limited, or I limited out. Dustin got 11 the other day. I don't think having it 2 feet higher would have made him come in anymore. I couldn't have asked for a better day that day. So one of the cons about this, before we get into the cons, we're going to kind of get into a neutral thing. It was $40. I gave $40 just for a Dove, for one Dove decoy. After I get through the cons, we'll go through my thoughts on it. It was $40, and we race up in Indianapolis anyway, so I ran over to Greenwood, and Dick's Sporting Goods actually had one in stock. After a year of wanting one, I finally got one. The cons of this. There's really only one complaint. It's kind of difficult to carry. After time, this cardboard box is going to fall apart. Now with our racing equipment and stuff like that, we have some pretty awesome aluminum cases with latches on them, and then it's got like the pluck and pull foam. So you could probably go to like Harbor Freight or a hobby shop somewhere and get a really nice, like, if you guys have ever seen boxes, I don't know, maybe you keep your GoPro in it or your cameras. They actually have little squares that are about that long. You pull them out into the shape of what you're wanting to put in there. I think that's something I'm going to get for this. Like I said, this box is going to eventually fall apart. It'd be nice just to be able to take a handheld thing instead of putting it all together at your truck and then carrying it with you. You can't put this thing in your vest, in your Dove vest. You have to literally carry it at the same time. You can't, I mean, you can break it down and then shove it in the back, but these wings, I don't know why I'm so scared to bend these wings or break them. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure they actually sell replacement parts for this thing. Super impressed with that. Super impressed with that aspect of it. So one thing that'd be really cool is to actually get a real, like, hard plastic or aluminum carrying case for this thing. Throw it open, put it together instead of pulling out the box every time and putting it all together. And then when you're done, pulling the foam insert back out and then putting all your stakes back up in there. There's definitely a better way to do it. But with Mojo, I'm not sponsored by Mojo, so they're not paying me to tell you all of this stuff. They could have done better. Well, I don't think they could have done any better with the boxing, but as a consumer, we could definitely improve the way we transport this thing. So enough about the unboxing, I guess you could say. We're going to get into my thoughts of it. First things first. Is it necessary to have this to be successful in the dove field? Absolutely not. You can go get a wind-powered one for, I think, $12. You can get a dozen of the hard plastic ones that you just set on the ground that actually have the clips underneath them so you can put them on like trees and like fence rows and stuff like that. It'll work. My first year of dove hunting, that's all I had. And then I don't remember what the company I was using. I don't have a package or anything like that to show you guys. Actually, I had it to where it had it's not 3D printed, but it's photo printed wings that you could put on there, but they were completely flat, so you had to bend them whichever way you wanted. Did the doves ever land next to my decoys? No. Did this thing make them land next to them? Absolutely. It is insane how this thing works because it is motion. So the thing I'm kind of saying now is like, excuse me, having this thing out and having it spinning, the doves almost can't land close enough to it. Like they're coming in and kamikazing this decoy. It's crazy because I've had just the regular decoy sitting on the ground. They'll fly over and take a look, and they're within shooting range. But it's so much easier when they come in and they flare. And when they flare, they slow way down. And me and Dustin were able to pick birds off left and right with this thing being out here. And we never hit the decoy. So it was a win-win in that aspect. Is it necessary to have this thing? No. Will it make you more successful? You can take my word for it. Yes. Yeah, this thing brings in the doves. I've had cows come up to it. I've had killdeer come up to it and land next to it. I had a falcon basically hit it, trying to kill it, I guess you could say. I've had chicken hawks swarm it. This thing is amazing. Like, it's amazing what it does and its capabilities. And with it being bigger, I think the doves can spot it a lot longer or a lot farther away. It is not necessary, but I would suggest getting one if you really, really want to be successful in a dove field. As far as my opinion goes, when a dove comes in and flies off, That's one less that I get to eat. If you guys have never had dove, I could probably, I love cooking too. I'm into a lot of hobbies. I'm just not a smoker. I've been smoking some food for the first time, and it's awesome. And I hate seeing doves fly away or missing birds just because doves are that good. This thing was worth every bit of $40. If it was $100, I would still suggest buying it. If any of you guys are using stationary decoys and are just like, well, I mean, they're getting close enough, get you a MOJO decoy, set it out there, and watch what happens. Doves swarm this thing. Again, I'm not going to swear by it. I've had doves fly over, and they don't pay any attention to it. It doesn't bring in every single bird in the area. But for the first time in my life, I was able to limit out with this in a cornfield. So hunting at my uncle's house, we were able to shoot a lot more birds, but nothing, and I knew when the cornfield started to get cut, this thing was going to shine, and it did. This thing is crazy. This thing is crazy good. So one thing about this, you start getting birds come in, and let's say you get a group of 10 of them come in and you kill, 2 to 4 of them. You have to remember that the doves that flew off already have been at your decoys. They know what it looks like. Now, there was also times that me and Dustin shot at them, and they'd fly out about 100 yards and come right back in and land in that same exact spot we just got done shooting at them 15 seconds ago. As the day progressed on, and the longer and longer that this MOJO sat out there, the doves became more and more leery of it. I kind of switched up the spread a little bit. We were having crossing shots. They were coming in, like we were facing directly at the MOJO. The wind was coming from the left, and if you guys don't know, migratory birds, any kind of bird always lands into the wind. So they were coming from the left, circling, and we were getting passing shots from the right. So I told Dustin, I was like, hey, I said, if we switch this about 45 degrees this way, the wind will be directly at our backs. They'll come flying straight into us, and that's what they did. That didn't really change how many birds came in at once. I had more confidence. I was able to hit more shots. I'm not any good at passing shots. I mean, I can hit them 50% of the time. And people always tell me, well, doves are extremely hard to hit. They're not easy birds to hunt. But they're so worth it. They're so worth going out there and shooting them. They're amazing. And I might do a video of like a recipe that I do. And it's a very simple recipe. The birds will get used to this. After some time, doves will just fly over it. And more than likely, those were birds that already landed there. If you're not having any luck, turn it off, throw it back in the truck, or move. This thing isn't going to bring doves in 100% of the time for the duration of the day. It works for a given amount of time. I would say at most in one spot, this thing will bring in doves for 2 hours. And that's it. After that, you're going to be very, very hard pressed. You'll have birds that still come in, but it's not going to be like that in the morning. In the morning, me and Dustin were very overwhelmed. They'd come in, we'd shoot 3 rounds, and we would be struggling. We'd shoot, and literally 3 seconds later, another group of them would come in and land. And we're sitting there trying to load, and we got birds literally 10, 20 feet in front of us, and we're struggling to load, and we're shooting. They'd fly off, another group would come in 3 seconds later, and we were just burning through shells that day. So with that being said, not going to swear by it, but if you're having trouble getting birds close or within range, you shouldn't have to use anything tighter than a mod. Me and Dustin, I had this decoy out at 10, 15 yards, and we were getting birds. The closest we ever had a bird was 5 feet in front of us. Obviously too close to shoot. Came in, flared, made a circle around the decoy. It was 5 feet in front of us. Came back around as it slowed down. I hammered it. So with that being said, I'm not going to swear by it, but you guys need to get one. I wish I would have had one a lot sooner than a month ago when I bought this thing. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be making another video of kind of the changes that I'm making to my YouTube channel. I'm not going to get into that, but make sure you guys look for that video too. We'll see you again. Triple F Ranch.